Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a lovely day here in suburban Chicago. It's as though we turned the corner into September and the weather got perfect. It is warm, but not even very warm, just a little warm, very comfortable for jeans and a t-shirt on a walk. There's a nice breeze. The sun is out, but not unpleasantly so. Ooh, today is really nice. So, with that in mind, I am excited to share with you the top of the stack. That's right, it is the beginning of September. That means here on Pick Up and Deliver, we are going to review the games I played last month, talk a little bit about the games I hope to play next month, and get you to think about what's on the top of your stack. As always, I like to remind everybody that the top of the stack, the phrase top of the stack, was borrowed from the podcast of Nonsensical Gamers, who used it as a way to keep track of what they were planning on playing. I don't have an actual physical stack that I set up, although maybe that would challenge me to play these games a little more. Maybe I should do that this month. Make a physical stack of the top of my stack game pile. I'm going to do that. Check the show notes for a picture. All right, so like I said, top of the stack episode. I'm going to review my gameplay stats from last month, talk a little bit about the experience, and get ready for next month. So let's jump right in. In August of 2021, I played 78 plays of 44 different games. Now remember, this includes both in-person and asynchronous online play. I do a significant amount of that, so a big chunk of my gameplay time is asynchronous online play. This year, for total, I have played 566 plays of 196 different games. Woohoo! Well on track to break 300 different games this year, I guess, by that pace. My shelf of opportunity. I have a goal of reducing it down to 20 games. I'm doing poorly at that. It started the year at 40 games on my shelf of opportunity, which is, of course, games I own that I haven't played yet. At the beginning of August, it was at 51, and it's gone up to 56. There are a couple big reasons for that, and I'll talk about that when I get into games acquired this month. My collection size, my goal again is to reduce it. It started at 425 games at the beginning of the year. It's up to 483 games right now. That's up 5 games from the beginning of the month. Oops. My most played game this month was On Mars with 2 physical plays. 2 in-person plays, and my most asynchronous online game played was Motainai with 7 plays. I'm really enjoying getting back into Motainai. I found there's a good implementation of it on Yukata, and I've been enjoying playing that with some friends. If you'd like to give that a try, I'd be happy to play it with you. It takes probably a full game to get the hang of how all the information is displayed, and I would say it's probably not a great way to learn the game, although one of the people I'm playing with did learn it that way, and he seems to be doing just fine. So that's Motainai over on yukata.de. So I got to try 7 new games this month. Those were Athenium, the Mystic Library, Awkward Guests, Agatha Christie, Death on the Cards, The Captain is Dead, Vampires vs. Unicorns, Sidereal Confluence, and Plexed. I think I've talked about all of those on the podcast except Plexed, which will come up in a future podcast when I do my review of 3 games I've tried recently. That's up to 68 new to me games that I've played this year. All right, so on to top of the stack. This is the moment you've been waiting for. How did I do on my initial plan? I guess I just gave that away. Since 3 of the games I wanted to try this month, only one of them was on that list. But the brand new game that I wanted to try was Athenium, the Mystic Library. I did get that played. I wanted to revisit Whistle Stop. I did do that as well. My audience, I put in here the audience choice was Goonies Never Say Die. I don't know why I put that. You haven't been voting on that, but there it is. And then I tried again to get Argent the Consortium to the table. I will confess I didn't really try that hard. So there it is. So 2 of the 4 got played, which means out of each month, if I'm setting aside, what I do is I set aside 3 games that I'd really like to play and 1 that's kind of a bonus. And if I play 3 of the 4, I count that as a successful month. Out of the 24 successful games that would have been 3 a month for the year so far, I've played 8. So I'm averaging about 1 a month. Oops. Oh well, it is the rhythm it's in. I'm going to try to do better next month. We'll see. I have tried out I tried one new expansion this month. This was the Spirecrest expansion for Everdell. I think I talked about that. Actually, no, I talked about that in a podcast I've recorded, but I have not yet released, or maybe it was the one I just released. I lose track. Because I often record 2 podcasts in a walk, and then they appear when they appear. So I tried the Spirecrest expansion for Everdell, which brings me up to 10 expansions tried so far this year. My Out of the Dust plays were pretty good this month. Remember, Out of the Dust is where you play a game that you haven't played in a year or more. This is a good way to revitalize your collection. If you have a big collection like I do, make sure that you're digging around, finding games that you still enjoy, just haven't tried in a while. So, Matainai, I already mentioned. It had been a year and 3 months and 7 days since I played that last. Race for the Galaxy was a year and 9 months and 5 days. On Mars was a year and a month. So I played it twice this month, but before that it had been over a year since I played it the first time. Whistle Stop was a year, a month, and 24 days. That will be probably my last play of Whistle Stop. I did sell it. I think I talked about that. It was a revisit, and it turned out to be meaner than I think will get played. I got to play It's a Wonderful World as well, which is good. It didn't strike me as quite as good as when I first got it. When I first got it, I was like, yowza, that's great. I've cooled a little bit, so I'm not sure how much longer that'll stay in the collection. I'll give it a couple more tries, but I could see it going away sometime soon. That's 18 games dusted off so far this year. Our family 10x10 challenge creaks along slowly. I'm sort of in my head preparing, if we get to 50 plays this year, that might be the best we can hope for, instead of the 100 that was the goal. We've only advanced 2 games since last time we discussed. We played a game of Pandemic Legacy Season 0 and a game of Obsession. We're up to 33% so far this year. My H-index to tell what games I've been playing that I get 10 for 10. I'm up to 9. I have 9 games that I've played at least 9 times. I went and looked, actually all 9 of those I've played 10 times or more, but the next game down the step is 8 plays. So very soon I will have reached a 10 for 10 by myself, mostly with asynchronous online play. But I will fill you in when that happens. The 52 game challenge is perhaps the thing I'm doing best at this year so far. You'll remember this is a list of weird gameplay prompts, and you're supposed to try to play 52 different games, that's 1 a week, following these different weird prompts. That's kind of a fun idea. So I did manage to play 4. Actually, I played 2 this month, and then as I was reading through the prompts and sort of thinking about games I'd played, I found 2 more that actually tied into games I'd played in previous months, but I've got them on this month's list because this is when I discovered that I'd played them. So the 4 that I got, I have play your favorite prompt from 2016. I decided it'd be fun to play a game named after a person. Now I do own a couple games that have people's names in them, but I'm running out of time to specifically go and do a thing to try to meet these requirements. So I've decided if I do meet the requirement somewhere, I'm going to take that as a win. And I have played Lorenzo Il Magnifico this year, which is of course named after Lorenzo de' Medici. So there's that one. Play your favorite prompt from 2018. And the prompt there is a game where the title rhymes with another game title in this list. So one of the titles that's in this list is The Crew, and I decided Welcome To is close enough. So Welcome To, which I've been playing asynchronously with the crew from the Forgot My Dice podcast and other fans of that show. That is what I used to fulfill this answer. Next up we have pick a random word from the dictionary and play a game with the word in it. Now the word in it is a little confusing there. I don't know if I'm supposed to find a game that has that title, but that seemed to, my thought was think of a way that relates to a game and play the game. So the word that I got from randomwordgenerator.com was frame. And I played Awkward Guess this month, and as you know, one of the ways that officers or detectives talk about potential suspects, they'll say someone is in the frame, and so I've decided that counts. So Awkward Guess, you're trying to find out who's in the frame. Interestingly, in the frame just means figuring out who you think the suspects are and who is guilty. The term framed usually means put someone in the frame dishonestly, which is a really interesting quirk of language, I think. I would say in the frame is not a super common phrase to be used these days, particularly become framed, because framed has come to mean dishonestly put in the frame. But I don't know, I thought that was pretty interesting. I also don't really know why it's called in the frame, except that I think in the British system, you literally stand in the defendant's dock, which is a wooden frame around you. So I don't know. Anyway, I decided that counts. And finally, play a game with climate. I'd been thinking about this for a while and it hadn't clicked. I was thinking maybe I could get out K2 and play a game of that, because that game has climate. But boom, I played Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars, it is all about climate. You're raising heat, you're raising oxygen, you're building ocean, or flooding Mars with oceans. Boom, climate. So those are the 4 games I played. I have 11 prompts left to fulfill, and I have 4 months to do it. So that one's looking good. I might achieve one of my goals this year. Another list that I keep that's just sort of for my own bookkeeping, because I know what people really like in audio podcasts is bookkeeping, is my leftovers list. This is the games that I've had on 10 for 10s in previous years, and I'm trying to sort of, over time, as I complete enough to have sort of retroactively completed that 10 for 10, then I remove that game from my list. It's just another way to challenge myself to finish what I started. At the beginning of the year, there were 55 games on this list, or 55 different plays of games. I've not done a great job so far, but I've now only played 2. I had 1 play of something else, Nancy Narking, I think, and then I have 1 play here of It's a Wonderful World, which I need 3 plays of that to close that one out off the list. Maybe what I'll do is play that 2 more times to close that off the list, and then that'll help me decide whether to keep it or not. All right, and then we've got my shelf of opportunity log. Now this has been a bit bonkers here. I acquired quite a few new games this month. I did have a couple purchase hauls through various chances at buying things and money that came in, but I also had a bunch of finds at local Goodwills. So I have a bunch of games that I got for very cheap that I probably would not have picked up, except that they're very cheap and I don't like to turn down a good deal on a game. So here are the games I acquired this month. There's quite a few. The Captain is Dead. My wife brought that back for me from Amsterdam. We played it once. It was fun. I'd want to play it a few more times, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one doesn't stay around more than a year or so. I got the old classic 221B Baker Street. I've never played this, and it totally seems like a game I would enjoy. It's a classic detective game. I picked up the Game of Thrones, The Hand of the King. This is a nice little 2-player abstract game. I've played it before, but it's on my unplayed list, because if I buy a game I've played before, I put it on my list until I play it, because I bought it, so I ought to play it. One of the things I like about this game, you're marking a space. You sort of it's a sort of set collection game where you're trying to capture cards. One of the things you do in the game is there's this little token that represents Varys, the spider, and you move that token around on the board. Well, my cousin who had this game and introduced me to it, they had bought the tiny Funko Pop Varys, because that's more fun than the little token. And so I did the same. So I paid $2 for the game and paid $3 plus $4 shipping to get the little Varys. But it makes the game really fun. So that's Game of Thrones, Hand of the King. I need to play that. The next one is Plexed. I will talk about that game. We did play it. It's fine. I don't imagine it's going to stay in the collection too long. It's a word game. We have the Office Downsizing game, which I got as a novelty game, and I will talk about that in a future podcast. The same with Mystery Date, the 2006 or 2008 nostalgia edition. So it's printed to be like the old game with all the old art and everything. I got Ticket to Ride New York, which is a 2-player quick version of Ticket to Ride. I haven't gotten to try that yet, but looking forward to it. We got Awkward Guests, which I've talked about. Lost Ruins of Arnak, which I think I've talked about. I should check, actually, to see if I've talked about that on the podcast or not, because I've played it a few times asynchronously before we got the physical copy, but that one's really fun. I'm glad to have that. And then I have 3 more that literally just came in yesterday. One of them I got because of the board game class I'm teaching. I wanted to check this game out. It's called Bees, Beeees. It also coincidentally means I have 3 games themed around bees now, which is kind of funny. Then we have Bonfire, the Stefan Feld game, which I bought just because it was a good price. And Arion, same thing. That's another game from Shadi Torve, the designer of Onarim. And I also have Castilion from them. I really like those games. They're solo games mostly. In that purchase, I also picked up Orleans Invasion, the TMG version, which is on closeout now because TMG has gone bankrupt. Another company, I want to say Capstone, did pick up the license for Orleans, so it will be coming back. And it may be coming back with like all of the assets as is, I don't know. But I wanted to get it while it was available and not too expensive. And then finally, I have sold a few games. I got rid of Walk on Fire and I sold Mariposas. So I have reduced the collection a little bit, but it's still up in size. So for next month, I'm going back to the old well of Tichu. I'm going to try to get Tichu played. Arion is my new acquisition game that I want to give a try to. For a return, you know, there's a game I really enjoy from Fun to 11 Games that I haven't played in years called Castle Dice. I would love to go back to Castle Dice and take a look at it and see if it still holds up. It's a really big box in my cupboard, so if it's not something I'm going to keep, it would be a good one to choose to get rid of because it takes up lots of room. So yeah, Castle Dice will be my revisit for the month. And then I already mentioned my reattempt is going to be Tichu, or actually that's my audience choice. And then my reattempt is going to be Lords of Zidit, which is an area control game I was all ready to play yesterday. But I was not able to go to Toggle Gaming yesterday, so I had to quickly change that. So the last thing I wanted to mention today is the audience choice. So if you go to Board Game Geek and you look at my profile, you'll see that I have a Shelf of Opportunity list, and all of the games that I have on my Shelf of Opportunity are listed there. And each one can be voted on by putting a thumb on that entry on the list. And that is how I determine the audience choice. Right now, there's one game with 4 votes, and that's Tichu. All the rest of the games have 3 or fewer votes. So if you're a listener and you have a particular game that I've mentioned that's on my Shelf of Opportunity that you'd like me to play, go ahead and give it a thumb. I'm gonna rededicate myself to actually resolving the audience choice as listed. I want to be a bit more serious about getting my Shelf of Opportunity done, and I think one way to do it is to, respect the votes of my listening audience. So what do you have on your top of the stack? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and share your thoughts about that there. I would love to hear what games you have been playing or are planning on playing in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining me today on my walk. If you want to reach out, you can send an email to brendan@rattleboxgames.com, or you can send a direct message to Wombat929 over on Board Game Geek. I've also recently been making TikTok videos, which you can find on TikTok. My username there is, you'll never guess, Wombat929. So go watch some funny videos for me there as well. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.